The sound of a violin fills the grand ballroom. Chandeliers shimmer like stars, and whispers of love drift through the air. But among the laughter and silk gowns, two souls meet, and everything changes. London's most talked about season is here, and a love story unlike any before is about to unfold. The season begins with London at its brightest. Carriages roll through the cobblestone streets, and invitations sealed with gold arrive at every grand house in Mayfair. The Ton prepares once again for a season filled with gossip, desire, and the search for the perfect match. But while others chase titles and fortunes, one man moves quietly through the crowd. Benedict the second Bridgerton son, charming yet restless, has always stood apart. While his brothers followed duty, he follows dreams. He sees the world not in names and ranks, but in colors and shapes, in light and emotion. His hands are often stained with paint, and his heart forever chasing inspiration. Yet even the most creative soul cannot paint what he has never known, the feeling of true love. One evening, under the golden glow of countless candles, the doors of Lady Bridgerton's grand ball open wide. Music swells, the crowd turns, and a figure steps in, a woman whose presence silences the room. Her gown is simple but stunning, her eyes hidden behind a delicate silver mask. She does not walk like the rest. She glides, quiet and graceful, as if the music bends to her will. Every head turns, but only one gaze holds steady. Benedict's. He cannot look away. For a man who finds beauty in everything, this moment feels different. It's not about elegance or grace. It's something deeper, something that strikes the heart before the mind can speak. The night unfolds in slow motion. The orchestra plays, laughter echoes, and yet for Benedict, there is only her. He watches her from a distance, painting her silhouette in his mind. When their eyes finally meet, the world seems to fade. It's as if time itself hesitates, waiting for what will come next. He moves closer, drawn not by curiosity but by a force he can't explain. She turns slightly, her mask shimmering under the light, and for a moment, he catches a glimpse of her smile. Warm, kind, but hiding something unspoken. He feels it instantly. This woman carries secrets. As the dance begins, their paths cross once more. Words are few, but their silence speaks louder than any introduction. There's recognition in their eyes, like two stars aligning after years apart. The crowd moves around them, unaware that something extraordinary is happening in their midst. And when he finally asks for her hand, she hesitates, as though accepting it would change everything. Still, she does. The music swells, and they dance perfectly in sync. Strangers connected by something far beyond reason. Benedict feels it, the way her touch steadies his restless mind, the way her presence turns every note of the music into a heartbeat. She is not like anyone he has ever met. Her laughter is soft, her words careful, and her eyes full of both sorrow and strength. For him, she becomes a mystery worth unraveling, a painting worth creating, a dream worth chasing. And as the night draws to an end, she disappears as suddenly as she appeared, leaving behind nothing but the faint scent of roses and a heart that refuses to forget. Benedict stands there, watching the empty ballroom, his thoughts racing. Who was she? Where did she go? All he knows is that his world has changed forever. In a single evening, he has found something no artist could ever capture, a muse born not from imagination, but from fate itself. The Ton may not notice yet, but the greatest love story of the season has already begun, and its first brushstroke has just been painted in the heart of a Bridgerton. Morning breaks over London, soft and golden, but for Sophie Beckett, it is just another day of quiet disguise. The world knows her only as a servant in a grand household, moving silently through corridors where her presence is barely noticed. Yet beneath the plain fabric of her gown lies a truth that burns brighter than any title. She is no ordinary maid. Sophie is the daughter of an earl, born of love but branded by scandal. Her mother, a woman without status, gave her the heart of a lady, but society gave her nothing in return. From the moment she could walk, Sophie learned that in the eyes of the Ton, blood and grace mean nothing without a name to match. Still, she carries herself with dignity. She moves with elegance, not because she was taught to, but because it's in her soul. Every night, when the household sleeps, Sophie stands by the window and looks at the world that will never see her, the world of gowns, laughter, and candlelight. She dreams not of riches, but of freedom. Freedom to be seen, to be loved, to belong. The cruel twist of her fate is that she has everything that makes a lady except the permission to be one. Then one evening, a whisper of destiny reaches her ears. A grand masquerade ball, hosted by Lady Bridgerton, open to the entire Ton. No one will know who hides behind the masks. For one night, titles mean nothing. Sophie's heart races as she listens to the maids' gossip about the event. A thought blooms in her mind, dangerous, foolish, but impossible to ignore. For one night, she could be someone else. For one night, she could live the dream that was stolen from her. With trembling hands, she finds an old gown hidden away, one her stepmother discarded years ago. She works through the night, stitching it back to life. Each thread carries her longing, each touch her quiet rebellion. By dawn, she stands before the mirror, transformed. The silver gown shimmers softly, her mask perfectly fitted. She stares at her reflection, hardly believing what she sees. The girl who once scrubbed floors now looks like she belongs among queens. But deep inside, she knows this night is not about pretending, it is about remembering who she truly is. As she steps into the carriage that will take her to the Bridgerton estate, her heart pounds like a drum. Every clatter of the wheels feels like a countdown to something life-changing. The city lights blur past, and for the first time in years, Sophie smiles. The night air is cool, her hands are cold, but her spirit burns with quiet courage. She knows that once the clock strikes midnight, the dream will vanish, and she will return to her hidden world. But for now, she allows herself to believe in magic. When she enters the ballroom, the world itself seems to stop. The chandeliers rain golden light, the music swirls around her, and hundreds of masked faces turn to see the woman in silver. She walks with grace, not realizing how her very presence pulls the room into silence. Every step she takes carries the weight of her secret, the secret of a lady born in shadow. Yet she feels no fear, only the strange pull of destiny. For somewhere in that glittering sea of people, eyes are watching her, the same eyes that will change her life forever. And then, through the dance and the dazzle, she feels it, that gaze. Strong, searching, impossible to ignore. When she turns, their eyes meet. Benedict Bridgerton stands across the room, his breath caught as if the air itself has betrayed him. The connection is instant, silent, and unshakable. Neither knows the other's name, yet both feel as if they have met before, in dreams, in another life, or perhaps in the quiet wishes of their hearts. Sophie tries to look away, but she cannot. There is something in his expression that disarms her, something honest. A man used to seeing beauty suddenly finds himself looking at truth. She feels seen, truly seen, for the first time. The orchestra's melody softens, and the crowd fades into nothing. Only they remain, two souls surrounded by light and mystery. As the night deepens, they dance. She speaks little, careful not to reveal too much, and he listens as though every word she utters could vanish like smoke. When he compliments her, she smiles not out of pride, but disbelief that a Bridgerton could look at her with such warmth. He doesn't ask her who she is, and she doesn't offer to tell. Perhaps both are afraid that the answer would end the spell, but as the final notes of the waltz fade, reality returns. The world around them begins to move again. Sophie's heart aches with the weight of her secret. She knows that come morning, he will return to his world of privilege, and she will fade back into the shadows. The dream cannot last. Yet as she steps away, his voice follows softly through the crowd, a promise, a question, a hope. She doesn't turn back. She can't. Because to look at him again would be to surrender. She slips through the crowd, vanishing like moonlight at dawn. Behind her, Benedict searches, calling out for the woman who stole his heart in a single dance. But she is gone. All that remains is a single silver ribbon left behind, proof that sometimes, love begins not in truth, but in mystery. And though she returns to her hidden life, her heart refuses to let go. She has tasted freedom, and in the depths of her soul, she knows this story isn't over. The world may have kept them apart, but fate has only just begun its game. Days pass, yet the memory of that night clings to Benedict Bridgerton like the scent of spring rain. He wakes each morning haunted by a face he cannot name, by laughter that echoes in his mind long after the music has stopped. Every painting he begins turns into her portrait, the curve of her lips, the light in her eyes, the silver shimmer of her mask. His brushes betray him. His art has found its muse, but his heart has lost its peace. He tries to bury the feeling under duty and reason, but every breath he takes reminds him of the woman who vanished with the dawn. London's society moves on, but Benedict remains trapped in a dream that refuses to fade. He attends every ball, every gathering, hoping for a glimpse. Each mask, each voice makes him pause. He listens for her laughter, searches every face, but the world is full of strangers. Whispers follow him. The charming Bridgerton son has become a ghost among the living, a man possessed by a phantom lover. His friends tease him, his brothers question him, but no one understands. How could anyone know what it feels like to meet someone who changes the meaning of love in a single night? One afternoon, he escapes to the countryside, hoping that solitude will bring him peace. The air is quiet, the river calm, yet his mind remains restless. He sketches without thought, his hands moving as if guided by memory. The page fills with her face, her eyes, her hidden sadness. And then it strikes him, the realization that he never knew her name. He had danced with her, spoken with her, felt her heartbeat against his, yet he doesn't even know who she was. It's madness, and yet it feels like destiny. Somewhere out there, she lives, breathes, and dreams, the woman who belongs to him, as surely as night belongs to the moon. But fate, ever mischievous, has its own plans. In another corner of London, Sophie Beckett carries the weight of that same night. She remembers his touch, his warmth, the way he looked at her, not as a servant, not as a mystery, but as an equal. It was the first time she felt seen, but with each dawn that followed, that memory became a quiet ache. She returns to her duties, her world of shadows. But inside her burns a dangerous truth. She has fallen in love with a bridge. She scolds herself for it, tells her heart to forget, yet the feeling grows stronger. Every time she passes a window and sees a carriage, she wonders if he is inside. Every time she hears laughter at a distant ball, she imagines him searching. Weeks later, their worlds cross again, not in a ballroom, but in the quiet garden of an estate. Benedict, lost in thought, stumbles upon a maid tending flowers. She kneels in the sunlight, her face half hidden beneath a straw hat. Something in her stillness catches his eye, the grace of her movements, the quiet elegance that feels too familiar. When she looks up, time folds in on itself. It is her. He knows it before his mind even dares to believe it. Sophie freezes, her heart thundering in her chest. For a moment, neither speaks. The silence between them is heavier than any word could bear. He approaches slowly, afraid that if he moves too fast, she might vanish again. "Have we met before?" he asks softly, though he already knows the answer. Her eyes tremble with unshed truth. She wants to lie, to protect herself, but the weight of his gaze makes honesty feel like the only language left. "Perhaps," she whispers. Their conversation unfolds like a secret poem. He tells her about his sleepless nights, his search for the woman in silver. She listens, her heart breaking with every word. She wants to confess, to tell him that she is the one he seeks, but fear chains her tongue. What would he think if he knew she was a servant? A man of his world could never love someone of hers, not without losing everything. And so, she smiles faintly and says nothing, choosing silence over shame. Benedict leaves that day more confused than ever. There's something about her, the calm, the sadness, the familiarity that won't let him go. He doesn't know her name, her story, or why she feels so familiar, but he feels drawn to her all the same. For the first time, love doesn't feel like desire or fantasy. It feels like truth, quiet, patient, undeniable. As days pass, he returns to the estate again and again, pretending it's for his art, but always finding himself in the garden. They speak in stolen moments, hidden glances, half-finished conversations. The more he learns about her, the more he feels the world around him fade. Titles, wealth, reputation, none of it matters anymore. She becomes his calm in a noisy world, his muse in flesh and blood. And though neither dares to name what's growing between them, the air itself carries their secret. Yet even the sweetest dreams carry shadows. Whispers begin to spread through the household, the Bridgerton heir visiting too often, the servant who blushes to ice. Danger stirs quietly, for the world is not kind to love that crosses lines drawn by pride. Sophie knows it can't last, but her heart refuses to let go. Benedict, too, begins to see the storm coming. But he would rather lose the world than lose her, in the silence of twilight. As the sky burns gold, their hands brush once more. No words are needed. The truth has been written in their hearts since the night they danced. Love has found them again, not in disguise, but in defiance. And this time, neither will walk away without a fight. The world has a cruel way of testing love. For Benedict and Sophie, that test begins the moment their secret is no longer theirs alone. The whispers that once floated softly through hallways now echo like thunder in the drawing rooms of London. Servants murmur, ladies gossip, and the tongue sharpens its claws. A Bridgerton in love with a maid, the scandal would tear through society like fire through dry silk. Yet, for Benedict, the fear of disgrace means nothing. What terrifies him most is losing her again. He paints her portrait in secret, not the polished image of a lady, but the truth of her, the way her hair catches the sun, the way her eyes hold both pain and hope, the way her smile looks like defiance wrapped in tenderness. Each brushstroke is a confession his lips cannot yet speak. But even as he paints, the walls of duty close in. His mother, Lady Violet, begins to notice his distraction. Invitations pile up, the daughters of viscounts, the heirs of dukes, all eager to catch his attention. Yet Benedict's heart remains elsewhere, hidden among the wild flowers of a garden where his love waits. Sophie, meanwhile, lives in a quiet storm. Every time Benedict visits, her joy grows heavier with guilt. She knows their world will never accept her, a woman of no name, no dowry, no standing. The line between their worlds is drawn in iron, and crossing it could ruin them both. Still, she cannot stay away. When he looks at her, she forgets the rules. When he touches her hand, she remembers what freedom feels like. But in the shadows, danger waits. Her stepmother, the cruel woman who keeps her bound in servitude, begins to suspect the truth. She sees the way Sophie smiles, the glow in her eyes, and she knows love has made her reckless. One evening, under a sky heavy with rain, everything changes. Sophie is accused of theft, a cruel lie, born of jealousy and spite. The household erupts in chaos. She tries to defend herself, but her words fall on deaf ears. The punishment is swift and merciless dismissal without pay, her belongings thrown into the cold night. She stands on the steps, drenched and trembling, her dreams crumbling around her. Just as the carriage door closes behind her, Benedict arrives, breathless and furious. When he sees her in tears, something inside him breaks. He confronts the accusers, demanding truth, but the damage is done. Society does not need proof, only a story to believe in. He follows her into the storm, refusing to let her vanish again. The rain falls like glass, sharp and endless. She begs him to go back, to forget her, to save himself from ruin. But he takes her hand and says the words that will change both their lives. "I would rather live a life of ruin than one without you." His voice trembles, not with fear, but with truth. Sophie shakes her head, tears mixing with the rain. "You don't know what you're saying, Benedict. Love can't survive the world you live in." But he only smiles, broken and brave. "Then I will build a new world where it can." They stand their two souls against the storm, their hearts louder than thunder. For a moment, it feels as though love has conquered everything. But fate is not finished with them yet. The next morning, the news spreads. The Bridgerton son seen chasing a servant through the rain, a scandal too delicious for the Ton to ignore. Lady Violet confronts her son with fury and heartbreak. "Do you understand what this means? You would throw away everything for a girl with no name." Benedict's answer is quiet but certain. "She is my everything." His mother sees the fire in his eyes and understands this is not infatuation. This is love that refuses to bow to rank or reason. Still, even love needs courage to survive. Days turn into weeks of silence. Sophie hides, lost between fear and hope. She dreams of Benedict but refuses to reach out. She tells herself that he deserves better, that his world will forget her soon enough. But she underestimates his heart. One evening, as the season's final ball begins, the doors open once more, and Benedict steps inside, not to dance, but to fight. He walks through the glittering crowd, past shocked faces and whispered judgments, until he stands before the Queen herself. With a steady voice, he tells the truth about the masquerade, about Sophie, about the love that changed him.